everyone, it's Mari for Honeybee Stamps. I'm going to be using the Ornate A2 cover plate top and the Lovely Layers rose dies for my card today. I have die cut out the pieces for my rose from some yellow cardstock, and I'm using some Kitsch Flamingo and picked Rasberry to add a little bit of color to my roses. I really love the yellow and pink combo for a rose, and I just thought this was going to be really pretty. So I'm taking my yellow cardstock, my honeybee blending brushes, and just starting off with the Kitsch Flamingo, and I'm just adding just a tiny little bit of that Kitsch Flamingo around the edges of each one of these layers. Now, when I die cut out my Lovely Layers pieces, I always put them in order from the largest piece to the smallest piece over to the side. And then when I'm ready to adhere these together, they're in the correct order. And when I'm blending these out here, I'm just kind of checking to make sure that I like the placement and the amount of ink on my cardstock piece. So you'll just see me kind of like laying them over top of the layer that they're going to be next to, and just making sure that enough of that little bit of pink is going to be showing. And this is just a really simple process. It's a really easy way to add some color to your pieces. I am using my Honeybee Stamps Be Creative matte here, the silicone matte, just to add the color on here. It's just nice because the cardstock sticks nicely to that matte, and it does make it a little bit easier to go ahead and add that color on there. So here you can just see now I'm adding the picked Rasberry. I'm using a different brush. I think this brush is a little bit smaller than the last one. And just to the very edges, so that the Kitsch Flamingo is the dominant pink there, and then the picked Rasberry just kind of adds a little bit of a darker pink just around the edges, and I think it's just a little bit brighter. It just looks really pretty. I think that pink and yellow is a stunning combo, and you could definitely cut your roses out of white cardstock and do the ink blending with yellow ink instead of using yellow cardstock, but it does save you a little bit of time when you're working with color cardstock in this way. So here you can see I've got all of these pieces done now. I actually did 2 different roses because I'm going to be doing 2 blooms here. But there is actually also a graphic on the Honeybee website with this die set that shows you exactly how to layer the pieces together, which is fantastic. And I also love that the bottom of the dies fits nicely together, so that if you line up the bottom edges, then the rest of the rose should be in place where it's supposed to be. So the Lovely Layers from Honeybee are my favorite dies. I love them so much. And I was just in the mood today to work on something other than a holiday card, because I've been making holiday cards for the last 2 months. And today I just thought, you know what, I just want to break out some florals and just work on something a little bit different other than a Christmas or holiday themed card. So here you can just see I've got this largest piece here that I'm going to layer on top. There's another tiny little piece that goes on the bottom there. I think I may have forgotten to show that, but it's just the last little piece of that bloom. Now I'm going to use these 2 colors of green. I've cut out a couple of the leaves from the Lovely Layers rose. I did a little bit of ink blending for those leaves as well. I started with a lighter color and finished with a darker. I'm also going to be using the Lovely Layers Heart Vine die set. I'm going to use the Intricate die. I've die cut that out of white, and I'm going to use that just as another really nice layer in behind my roses. I've also used the Foil Script Wishes hot foil plate from Honeybee to foil the beautiful Love You sentiment that I'm going to be using here. I used just some gold foil from my stash, and I will link up to some hot foil rolls in the description box below, as well as the rest of the different items that I used today in my project. And I'm going to use a coordinating die for that Foil Script Wishes to cut out that gorgeous sentiment. And now I'm just going to go ahead and start adhering my card together. I'm using my Honeybee glue tube here. I'm going to just add some of this adhesive around the perimeter of that Ornate A2 cover plate. And this is the top cover plate for that set. This set has 2 pieces to it that are sold separately, and you can use each of those pieces separately as well or together. So this is the top of that cover plate set. And there you can see those 2 gorgeous roses. I'm just going to layer them together kind of over in that bottom left corner, I'm going to use just those two little leaves kind of underneath as a little bit of foliage. And then I'm just going to trim this little vine in half and or apart and just do a little bit of surgery there. I'm going to add a little bit to the area above the roses or to the top and over to the right a little bit, and then another little chunk underneath those leaves in the little corner there down at the lower left. And again, these are just going to be some nice white texture that goes along with that cover plate in the background. I like to do layers like this. I think it just looks fun, and I love the white on white. I think it's super clean and pretty. And I'm just going to trim that up a little bit and make sure those pieces all fit in nicely. I'll use my liquid adhesive to get those into place. And now I'm going to use my Bee Shimmery Liquid Shimmer Watercolor from Honeybee Stamps. If you haven't tried this yet, I highly recommend this. This is a fantastic product. I'm just putting a little bit out onto my table here, and then I'll splatter with it. You do have to give this a really good shake just to mix up all of that mica that's in there. But this just adds the most gorgeous shimmer and shine to your project. I love how it looks. I wasn't completely satisfied with that, so I decided, even though it's 100% gorgeous and it would have been just fine, I also like to add a little bit of white splatter to my projects as well. And so I'm going to finish up with the Bee Shimmery, and then I'm going to also add a little bit of white splatter to the project. And that's just going to add a little bit more texture in that way, and that's going to finish it off. Now I'm going to add a little bit of foam adhesive to my sentiment, just to pop it up a little bit off of my background. I will use my Honeybee reverse tweezers here to help me get this into the right place. I like the idea of putting it over to the right of the roses, still kind of touching the rose grouping there, but just kind of filling up some of that space over to the right. So the sentiment is love you. I really like how this turned out. I think it's great for Valentine's Day, but it would also be really good for a birthday gift, really any occasion. So thanks so much, friends, for watching today. Make sure that you check out all of the products in the description box below that I've linked up to for this project. Have an amazing day, friends, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.